What's going on, everybody? My name is Che, and welcome to a special edition of the No Spoon podcast where we talk about culture, politics, and common sense. We got a great show for you today, and I don't want to waste any time. I want to get straight into it. But before we do that, let's take care of some business. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and take the time to do so right now. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with as many people as possible. The only way we get past the algorithm is we flood the airwaves. And so that's what you got to do. That's your part. I appreciate everybody for joining in, but you're gonna love this show that we got today because we got a great guest on. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and get straight to it and introduce her, and then we'll get right down to business. When I was thinking about what is the way to describe our guest here, the only word that kept coming to my mind is, uh, for lack of better words, she's a beast. That's in my opinion. Most of you probably know her as being a contributor to Blaze TV's Fearless with Jason Whitlock. She has also been on many different news outlets such as Fox News, Newsmax. She's a co-host of Cut the Bull podcast and the author of the critically acclaimed book Keep It Naked. She is somebody who stands on truth, and from what I've seen, she pulls no punches and doesn't hold her tongue for anything. So welcome to the No Spoon podcast, Shemeka Michelle.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you for being on. I appreciate it. Was that all right? Introduction. How'd you feel about that?
It was great. Thank you.
So I'm gonna get straight to it, man. I'm gonna go back to 2020, and that was the year where everything was like the line in the sand was drawn.
Mhm.
COVID, George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, the election, and all that different stuff. And there was one video that kind of summarized all of that year in one, and that was the viral video of you at Beverly Hills.
I don't need your privilege to tell me or to justify who I am in America. This is my country. This is my land. My ancestors built this country. So I'm going to walk around here as bold as I want to. And I don't have to have you to co-sign and tell me my life matters. That right there insinuates that you think your voice is bigger and better than mine. Yes, it does.
Come on. No, he's going to learn.
You can disagree. You can disagree, but you are supporting an organization that does not like black men. And as a black woman, I can tell you how important black men are to the black family. Without them, we are nothing. So when you support an organization that doesn't push them up the way we need them to be, you ain't shit. And you can take that from Shemeka Michelle and post it wherever you like.
Basically, you was like Mike Tyson out the gate on this little white Black Lives Matter kid. And it was like, in a way, I was feeling bad for him, but he couldn't talk because he was masked up for one. So you can't hear nothing they say. But what was it to you that was like, I can't be stuck in the house. I can't be silenced. Somebody has to say something. What was it for you that was like, I'm out here, I'm with it, and the gloves are off?
So we were actually traveling the country at that time, going to different states to speak. And it was just really frustrating to see a bunch of white people saying Black Lives Matter, but it was like my Black life matters, but not my Black opinion. So many times they didn't want to talk to me. They didn't want to have a conversation with me. I even had a white girl and a mixed black white, I guess, asked me, "Are you black? Are you black?" And I'm sitting here like, girl, my skin is dark. My hair is nappy. Why are you asking me this stupid question? And so I think that being on the road during that time just had me really on edge. Like I was frustrated that I felt like white people even felt like they needed to tell me my life mattered. Like I knew that, I know I'm funny. I know that I'm smart. I know I'm cute. I know I'm fun to be around. I know my life matters. I don't need y'all telling me that to make me feel like I need to get out of bed in the morning. And so it was just frustrating because they were being very condescending in, as if they had the last word, and they wanted to be the ones to save my life that didn't need saving, not by them anyway. And so it was just a frustrating time with everything going on that I was just like, you know what? I got to put my foot down because this is getting out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, and here we are, fast forward 3 years later, and the COVID thing has kind of died down, but we're into another element, and this is the whole men can be women and women can be men. And I see you talking a lot about the importance of the family, the importance of the nuclear family. Um, and then again, you're having white liberals who are trying to tell you something else. I mean, from your perspective as a black woman in this whole in this game that we're talking about, what is that like to be told that you don't need a man, that you can you don't need the family and all the stuff that they be saying?
That was one of the frustrations with that little white guy out in Beverly Hills. Like, I was trying to get him to understand at that time, especially, it was on their website that Black Lives Matter wanted to dismantle the nuclear family. And so I was trying to get him to understand, like, without men in the home, without fathers, that is why you're seeing the demise and the destruction in the family and in the Black community. So if our lives really mattered, then they would actually, they would want all of us to have lives. And I just felt like the only time the lives of straight Black men were upheld or they had any concern for them was when they were dead, because it helped push their agenda. So it really pisses me off when I hear people constantly telling Black women they don't need a man. And it bothers me when I see Black women actually falling for it, that they don't need a man, and they don't
Hmm.
realize that this whole masculine frame that they've taken up is sickening to watch. Not only that, look at your children. Yes, of course, there are some single moms that have done a good job, but you can't be the mom and the dad. Like, it's just not possible. And I noticed years ago when you had all of these women saying, I'm the mom and the dad on Father's Day, they wanted you to tell them Happy Father's Day. And I'm like, even if you're a good mom, you can't be the mother and the father. And some of y'all need to check yourself, because you're doing a poor job in both roles. If that's the case, look at these kids. And so it's frustrating because so many women have bought into the lie. Yet, if you look closely at their lives, your life is not reflective that you don't need a man. Most of the time, you're living on government assistance, or you're living, below poverty. You don't get to spend as much time with your children because you're working so much. And because you're working so much, they don't have the parenting that they need to have to thrive and grow up to be productive citizens. So it's like, okay, look at your life. You bought into
Hmm.
the lie, but the lie is not working for you.
Yeah, I mean, and I always say, like, people will say that a lot of times when you have single mothers and then they have a son, it's like they want to make their son their man. But I don't think that's the case. I think when you really look at it, they want their son to be their housewife, because he's the one who takes care of all the chores. He's the one who
Yeah.
does the laundry and looks after the kids. And then it's like, I don't think they understand how emasculating that it is. And as soon as he tries to leave the nest and go get a girlfriend, or it seems like he might get married, oh, mama tears that up. You know what I mean? Mama's like, nah, that's why she always has issues with the girlfriend or the fiance or the wife. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I
Yeah.
would I would always say, like, why is it that men kind of bow to a woman, like, just constantly whatever she says go. And I had a single man who was actually, he said, imagine those of us that came up in the house with just a female. That's how we
Hmm.
were raised, to just kind of bow down. We had to bow down to our moms first, and nobody really taught us how to stand up in a respectful way, because you can't stand up to your mom. And so a lot of times then they go out here into the real world and they're punks, because that's who their mom raised them to be. And it would really aggravate me, like when I would see mothers in the grocery store with their sons and just talking so harsh and talking down on them. He wants a Snickers. No, you're not gonna get no Snickers with your stupid self. Put that Snickers back, you little dummy, and it's like, good Lord. We know he's not gonna grow up to be a stand-up man because you've already castrated him before it can even grow to its correct size. So it's like, wow, I don't even know if they understand what they do to their sons before they can even get out in the world.
Yeah, I mean, man, that example right there, that's really what it is, and you can't help but think that you take that on to the relationships now. Now these women, you know what? It was crazy to me is that you have women who will say, they'll talk about their baby's father, or they'll talk about their daughter's baby's father and how he's no good, but you got the same one sitting on your couch, either your son, your cousin, your nephew, or something like that, who you have an excuse for. So when he
Right.
like, why ain't he taking care of his kids? Why ain't your son taking care of his kids? Or his baby mama crazy, this and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh, of
like,
course.
they're not the same people. I mean, they're not different people that we're talking about. They're all the same people. The baby daddy that she's trashing is your son, and the baby daddy that you trashing is her son. It's
Right.
like they don't see how it's all connected here. It's ridiculous to me.
Right. Your son is 35 years old and you're still saying, well, he gonna always be my baby. And you make sure that you always have room for him because you waiting on that relationship that you know you didn't raise him for to start with. You're waiting for it to fail so that he can come back home and be the man of the house again, that you kind of pushed him into that role to be. So, you can always tell when a woman hasn't raised her son the way he's supposed to be raised. She always has that space for him to come back because you didn't raise him right to start with. He ain't gonna make nobody a good husband or man, and it's going to fail, and he's gonna need somewhere to sleep, and you don't want him on your couch, so you got a little room, just in case. So if he needs to come back home.
Mm,
I don't know, it's crazy to me, but it's like we are so stuck on the wrong things that we don't even
yeah.
see these things that actually that's the big problem in the community.
Well, I think there's a reason for that, and I think that it goes back to the people that um, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of create the quote unquote culture, right?
Hmm.
And when I say that, the rappers, the comedians, these type of celebrities that everybody looks to, and it's like, if you don't bow to their narrative, then you're not part of the culture. You're not part of
Right.
that. I mean, I know that you've experienced a lot of that. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's funny to me because I think differently. I've heard people say, well, we know you aren't invited to the cookout, and it's like I am the cookout. Like I was raised in a predominantly Black community. I went to school K through 12th grade. I had 6 white people the entire time. And I don't even mean all at once, like coming in and out, like coming in and like, oop, this is not where I'm supposed to be.
Hmm.
And so it's like I went to an all Black church. My neighborhood was Black. Black is what I know and love, but because I can actually see the problems and I don't have a problem calling it out, it doesn't mean that I don't like Black people. To me, it means that I love us so much and I understand that we can do better. I expect us to do better. So unlike some people that look at your skin and say, oh, they're not going to be as smart, or oh, they don't know how to behave, or oh, they're Black, we got to talk to them, we got to dumb it down because they won't understand. I don't do that. I look at you and say, oh, you're Black, then I expect you to act right, because that is how our parents, or at least our grandparents and great grandparents, expected for us. When I look at pictures of like my great grandparents and or her kids or her siblings or whatever, they used to leave the house dressed classy. Like
Hmm.
they stepped out like, I'm going to give you the best. That was Black excellence. Now you see us hashtagging somebody with his pants hanging below his behind, or some woman with a thong on with her butt to the gram talking about Black excellence. That's not Black excellence. That's not what I know to be Black excellence. So when I see that type of foolishness, I'm going to call it out. And if that means I can't be invited to the cookout, that's fine. Y'all don't know how to cook macaroni and cheese anyway. I see some of them nasty pictures of those plates y'all be putting up. They look terrible. So good. Don't invite me to the cookout. Most of y'all pouring corn out the can anyway. You don't even know how to cook nowadays. So I'm good. I'll stay home where I still snap green beans and know how to make a home cooked meal.
Man, hey, but what kills me, what really, really gets me is it's like people don't see, like, you got to look at things for what they are, right? And when you have an entertainer or whatnot who's telling you how, how racist white people are, and then you realize, well, you send your kids to an all white private school,
Mm-hmm.
you live in an all white community.
Right.
What, I mean, there was a time, I think it was after Ahmaud Arbery, when LeBron was like, he was saying that black people were being hunted every day by white people, and it's like, LeBron, you live in Brentwood,
Right.
you can live in Lamert Park in Crenshaw. I mean, I'm from LA, so I know that there's a whole area you could live in. You could send Bronny over there, but you don't.
Right.
So how come people don't see that connection? Like, don't tell me about how racist people are, but you choose to live all around them. You send your kids to them. If you were really that scared, you wouldn't do any of that.
Right. And most people, most Black people, when they get some type of success, I've never ever met one that said, you know what, I'm making the kind of money that I want to make. I got the job that I want. All I want to do is go and live in the projects. I've never seen one say that.
Man,
What
no.
you want to do is get up and get somewhere better so that you can provide a better life for your kids or just live somewhere better. Like when I moved to the house I'm in now, one of the things I said was, I want to move somewhere where the kids lay in the street and don't realize, oh, the car is coming, or because sometimes white kids, they just frolicking out, drawing chalk on. I never said I'm gonna move to the projects. That's my goal in life. No one says that. And so when I hear people like LeBron or even Oprah constantly pushing this narrative that, oh, Black people are so oppressed and these white people are just after us, those are your friends. When you have dinner parties, that's who you're inviting to your home. That's who's the godparents of your children. These white people that you claim are hunting the rest of us. Well, why they ain't hunting you, LeBron? You the biggest N-word in the bunch. They would be coming after you first. So it bothers me because to me, what I would like to tell people, like this young lady messaged me and she was like, I love what you do. I want to be able to do that. I didn't say to her, well, girl, these white people not going to let you get ahead, or, these white people be trying. I didn't say that. I said, if this is what you want to do, you can do it, because I feel like if I can, anybody can. 10 years ago, I didn't make money giving my opinion. I do now. And if that's what you would like to do, if this is what think is something that you would want to do, by all means do it. And you can, and your color of your skin is not going to stop you. Having natural hair is not going to stop you.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to an Ivy League school is not going to stop you, because if God gave you the gift, your gifts will make room for you and bring you before great men, period. And so
Man.
I tell people all the time when they say to me, I would love to do that, do it, whatever it is. Go after it. I just don't want you sitting thinking you can't because the dream is too big.
Mm-hmm.
Dream big and think that you can actually do whatever it is that you feel like you was put here to do.
Man, and it's almost like the people that are saying that, or telling a different narrative, are the people that know, they want to keep you in that same situation. You know what I
Right.
mean? They want to, like what you saying right there. As you're saying it, I'm just like thinking, even my own situation. 5 years ago, I was in prison. I was in prison for 15 years, and
Mhm.
I was like, I never one time do I sit up here and think, well, ain't nobody want to hear what I gotta say. You know what I mean? I don't feel like
Right.
that. I
Right.
don't. I really don't. I don't care if I don't care what the situation is. I don't care how many subscribers or followers, all that type of stuff. If it's truth, it's truth. And I always felt like you stand on the truth regardless. And I think
Mm-hmm.
right now we've gotten so weak, and these men are so weak that they
Mm.
don't want to stand up. They don't want to say what's true when it's right there in front of your face. Stop it, bro. Like for real. It really it like you really like it gets you going, because it's like I'm not going to sit here and play these games with these people. A
Right.
man is a man and a woman is a woman. Period.
It's so simple. I don't even understand why it's so hard. My daughter came home from school today and she said she felt like walking out of class because they were having the discussion about whether or not trans men no trans see, it's so confusing, I can't keep
Man.
up with it. Trans women should be able to participate with real women, and she was saying she didn't think it was fair that biological men would get to play with women, and the teacher was like, why? And she was like, we would constantly be behind, like they're stronger than us, they're faster than us most of the time. And the teacher is like, well, what's wrong with that? And I'm just thinking, first of all, what class is this? What subject is this? And if it's history, why are y'all talking about trans athletes? Like, it's frustrating because a lot of times schools really are just big indoctrination camps. And I'm so glad that I have a relationship with my kids, that we have conversations and talk about what's going on in the world. So when they hear this type of foolishness, instead of following along behind it, their antennas go up and they're like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. This don't sound right at all. And it's not even that I've ever forced them to be like super religious. It's
Mhm.
just common sense,
Common sense.
common sense.
I mean, it sounds so crazy that we're even having these conversations. You know what I mean? Like we've we've established this already. We know who
Mhm.
can have babies.
Right,
We like there's no. I think
right,
the first humans understood that.
right. And
Yeah.
what's so crazy is, like, I was looking at even Dwayne Wade's son. I
Oh my
don't
god.
care that he's able to change his name or whatever, they were celebrating. He could legally change whatever. It doesn't matter. 100 years or 200 years from now, if they were to go and dig up his grave, they're going to say, oh, we found Dwayne Wade's son. Period. I don't care
Mhm.
how many dresses he wears while he's here, how many weaves he get, how many times he stuffed his big Ken feet into some Barbie slippers. He is going to be a boy at the end of the day. And until you can change your chromosomes, you really can't change. And so I'm really sick of playing the game with them as if it's possible. It's not even possible. So if you're XY, you're a boy. If you're XX, you're a girl. We're not talking about nothing else. You can play dress up. I play dress up too. I
Mhm.
love it. But I'm not a princess at the end of the day. I'm just a regular old person. So no matter how many tiaras I wear, it's dress up.
But I mean, is that like I feel like the key to ending this is to just stop playing the game. I mean,
Yeah,
you're gonna get called names, you know what I mean? And I'd say like this, like if me disagreeing with you makes me a bigot or racist, and that's your definition, let's establish that you're defining that.
right,
Fine.
right,
Fine. You know what I mean? Like why am I going to sit here and worry about what you got to say? Because I say it's like the kid when you were a kid and you had some candy and a kid at school was like, "Oh, you a lame if you don't give me no candy." Well, you just made that definition up so that you can get some of my candy. Like it's not
right,
real.
right.
I don't have to play along with that, and we're playing along with it. It's ridiculous to me.
Yeah, and I think I did a video a couple years back where I said, what if I identified as a bird? No one would care if I walked around my yard, you know, flapping wings that I really don't have, or clucking or anything, pecking into the ground,
Mhm.
trying to get the freshest worm. No one would care. But the problem would come in if I tried to convince somebody else that I was a bird. Let's say if my landlord said, hey, it's the first, where's your rent? And I said, well, Birds don't pay rent. Birds get to live free and do what they want to do. And if I tried to fly over top and shit on someone's head, they would have a problem with that. And that's how I look at the trans community. I don't care what you do over there in your little space, but when you start flying over my head, trying to shit on my head, I got a problem with that. That's where I have to draw the line. So I've seen men dress up as women, before drag queens or whatever, but we were never to the point where they actually felt like we had to accept their make-believe. And so that's where I am now. Like, I'm not going into that. A lot of times I won't even say LGBTQ. First of all, it's too many alphabets.
Yeah.
I get tongue-tied and I don't accept it. I'll go LG. If I'm feeling real nice, maybe I'll do the B. But to me, if you B, you're L or G to start with. So I just feel like you can just be lesbian or gay, and that's it for me. I'm not trying to remember all these alphabets. It's too much. Not doing it.
Yeah, I think it's more about the power. I mean, did you see that clip? There was a clip of Piers Morgan when he was saying, "I want to identify as a black lesbian." And it was like, they were like, and then the first thing that she said was, "That's absurd." And it's like,
right.
That's absurd. How? Like, why can't, why, if there is no parameters, there's no boundaries on what it takes to self-identify, then why can't you just be anything?
Right.
You
Right.
know?
If it's so easy, let me identify tomorrow as Oprah Winfrey and go into Bank of America, and somebody needs to give me a lump sum of cash, because that's what I'm gonna try to take out. If I did that, I'm pretty sure they would call the police. Like, we just can't do whatever we want to and identify as something we are not. And I do think that we buy into the mental illness, because that's what it is, when we feel like we have to affirm. This whole gender affirmity is foolishness. And I'm seeing them tell parents, oh, well, you should just affirm your child, because if not, they're going to commit suicide. We're going to take a chance then, because I'm just not going to do that. Period. I'll get you some help, some counseling, some true real therapy, but I'm not getting ready to let you. I have all girls. I'm not going to let you identify as a boy. I just would never do that.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's it's this mental health thing. It's just it's a way to broaden that spectrum and get more people on pharmaceutical drugs. I mean,
Yep.
it's all a big money play. You know what I mean? It's
Oh,
like I
for
said
sure.
before, when little Timmy wants to identify as Susie, most of the time you just say, "Go ahead." He'll outgrow it in a week. But if you allow him to go down that path, then it's a lot of money for a lot of different people for a long period of time. And so
Right.
people aren't seeing that game that's being played. Like, these pharmaceuticals, these healthcare providers, they're in a business. This is a business. And so this whole trans agenda is very, very profitable.
Yeah, I
Uh,
totally agree.
yeah. But, I think when you look at this whole thing, right, when you, like, going back to what we talked about as far as the family, and there's no fathers. So
Mm-hmm.
now we're essentially becoming a matriarchal society,
Right.
right? Where the mother is the head of everything, and she makes the decisions, and she's the sensible one, or supposed to be the sensible one. What the problem with that is that you're exploiting the woman's nature to be nurturing, and she doesn't want to see little Timmy, who wants to be Susie, be hurt.
Right.
And so it's like you're kind of like coddling that, and we never
Right.
get past that stage of coddling.
Right.
You know, this whole matriarchal stuff. What is your take on on this? The matriarchy, the women's being the head of households.
Yeah, I think it's silly. And I think you're right. Women naturally, we're more empathetic. So yes, we do have a hard time sometimes saying, no, and just leaving it at that, dropping it like it's hot and moving on. You're right. A mom who feels like her child is struggling in any type of way wants to fix it. And so if you really feel like the way to fix that is, okay, Timmy wants to be a girl, I'm going to let Timmy dress up and be a girl. And when it comes to women running the house, like I said before, we can really look at what's happening in society and see that it's not working. And we have, even if you just look at corporate America, when more women decided, I'm going to be a part of corporate America, look at how corporate America is falling apart. When you see Disney wanting to push all of this stuff, it's because there are women in these higher up roles, in these executive roles, that's coming, they're so empathetic. They don't know
Mm-hmm.
how to just be logical all the time. And so women need to be in the house, if you ask me. Not saying you can't have some type of job, but I do feel like the husband and the family should come first. And when I look at corporate America and just see how soft it's getting, you know it's really sickening. Like, I remember Aunt Jemima, when they actually changed her clothing and made her a little slimmer. She didn't look as dark. She didn't look as, slavish. I remember that when I was in high school. And so to then become an adult and see they're still complaining about the same stuff, to me, that was a bunch of women and weak men who felt like, oh, we need to pull her off the pancake bottle. For what? A logical person, to me, a logical man would have said, you know what? We're going to come up with a different pancake syrup, and we're
Mm-hmm.
going to market that, and we're going to let it compete with Aunt Jemima to the point where nobody even wants to buy that. But instead, we had a bunch of people whining and crying online. And so you had these soft men in these executive positions and women who caved. Women don't need to be in no type of positions of power. And you heard it here first.
Mm. Okay. You know what? I mean, that's a hot take, but you still there?
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a hot take. I'm with it though. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. You know what I mean? Especially understanding the relationship of men and women, and um, So would you support a woman president?
No.
What about let's take it a step further. 19th Amendment, repeal it.
Repeal it. Listen, I say this all the time. I would give up my right to vote to
Hmm.
take some of these other women rights, because they don't have no business voting. So if that means I got to give mine up, I would willingly do it. When I see women screaming in the streets, acting like the world is over because of abortion, or even going back to A Day Without a Woman, when Donald Trump won in 2016, and then his inauguration in 2017, and all these women in the street in those pink pussy hats. What are y'all doing? You can't be thinking logically. So yes, if I got to give up my right to keep y'all from voting, take my vote. It's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, people don't understand what that meant back then. You know what I mean? Like, there was families, and we didn't live in a society where there was just single people. You know what
Right,
I mean? And there was families, and the father went to vote. He represented the family. It
right,
wasn't like just oh, I'm just gonna go and vote, and I don't care what nobody else has to say. He was a representation of the family. We have no more family structure here.
right.
We got a bunch of single independent women. We got a bunch of lazy, uh, effeminate men. And
Mm-hmm.
so everybody wants to have a say so, but nobody wants to do their due diligence. They just stuck on TikTok all day.
On TikTok all day, and when it's time to vote, they just run out to get a I voted sticker and take a picture of it and post it online. But if you ask them, who did you vote for? Well, what did they stand for? They don't know. They don't have a clue. A lot of times, I know, especially here, there's a group called the Durham Committee of Black Affairs, or Affairs of Black People, something like that. They're
Mhm.
always at the predominantly Black voting polls to give you a sheet to tell you who to vote for. And so a lot of people go in and they take this sheet and they vote for exactly who this committee tells them to vote for, yet they have no idea that these people, number one, most of the time don't even represent your values if you were to actually pay attention. But they're not going to get you ahead. But because they're Black, because this is a Black committee telling you to vote for them, or because they're Democrats, they run in and they make these votes without any consideration. And so I do think, like you said, back in the day, they were actually doing what was best for them as a family. And so
Mhm.
the man would go out and represent. And it's funny because when you talk about back in the day, I even think about women back in biblical times, how
Mhm.
if they didn't have a man, or if they were widowed, or, you think about Ruth, she wanted to be married. Like, she wanted a husband. And so she was faithful up until the time that she got one. And then women who couldn't have children and they were barren, they felt like they were cursed. Now
Yeah.
society has made women feel like you don't need to have kids, or you don't need a man. And so they've started, right. I don't. I'm good by myself. Well, no, you're really not, because you were put here and created for men. Period. I mean,
Facts.
unless you just don't believe the Bible. Now, if you feel like, okay, I'm not a Christian, I don't believe what the Bible says, then that's fine. Whatever, do you. But if you claim that you believe this word, you know that when God looked at Adam and said it's not good that he should be alone, he made him a woman. So that was
Mhm.
our whole purpose of being here to start with, for the man, to
Mhm.
be his help meet. And it's two words. What does help mean? To support and assist. Meet is to fulfill and satisfy. This is your role here in the earth realm. Now, sometimes it may not work out like that. You haven't found that husband that's going to cover you and protect you and provide. But running around here talking about, I don't need him, that doesn't line up with the word. Because if you don't need him, why are
Mhm.
you even here? What's your purpose here in this earth realm? Because women were made for
Yeah.
men. That's just what the truth is. Unless, again, you don't believe the Bible. But don't tell me you do, and you pick and choose, and you telling me, "Oh, I can ask, believe, and receive." I
Mhm.
believe that part. Well, then you believe Genesis in the beginning.
Well, I don't even think you have to believe the Bible. It's just logic, you know? I mean, I think to me a great example was, the whole Kevin Samuels phenomenon. He made a lot of women mad because he told them the truth of what they were really doing. If it wasn't, nobody would have cared. They would have been like, that's
Right,
just that dude on the internet yelling whatever. Who cares?
right.
You know what I mean? But he told a lot of women the truth. And it's sad what we see going on, and people don't want to wake up and recognize that.
Yeah, and just be honest. It's sometimes hard to just be honest. Like, you want to act like you're okay when you're not okay. You want to say, I don't need a man, when the truth is really, you just ain't found one, or he ain't found you. That's really the truth. But you
Or they
got to
don't want you.
pretend like, I don't need one. No, you want one,
Yeah.
girl. Please. I don't know a woman in her right mind that want to go out and work 10 to 12 hours a day every day, or at least 5 days a week. You come home, you're tired, you can barely do anything else because you're so worn out from having to, you know, be on a job all day long, didn't get to spend time with your kids, or the girl, stop playing. I don't know a woman in her right mind want to do all that every single day for a good, what, 50 years? It's crazy.
Man, people done lost their mind. That's all I gotta say. People have lost their mind, but we got people out here that is really trying to get it back. And are you optimistic about what's about the future, or is it doom and gloom?
It depends on the day.
I got you.
So,
I'm with you, man. I'm
but
with you all the
yeah,
way.
sometimes I wake up like, yes, I'm in this fight and I see other like-minded soldiers and I know, okay, we got this. I might get on my Instagram and see you made a post and then
Mhm.
look at, I think it's Young, Black and Wealthy. He's made a post and then Protect Your Seed. He's made, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we in the fight, and we're doing this. And then there are days when I may see something on the Shade Room or
Ah.
and I'm just like, we're doomed.
Man, that's what I call them. We got shade room activists. Whatever the shade room say, they take it right along with it. They take it to the ballot box. They expert
Right.
shade room lawyers. You got everything shade room. It's
Yes.
ridiculous, man. I mean, but I like to be optimistic. But I feel you. I feel you so much. But like, that's why I just get with the people like yourself, people that I know that I could be like, man, at least when the apocalypse happened, we can all kind of congregate together and we can just do us. That's how I
Right.
feel.
Right.
Well, I know you got to run, and I really, really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything else that you wanna say, you wanna put out there? You wanna let people know where to reach you, where to find you, any new projects you got coming up? We'd love to hear about it.
Well, of course, they can find me on Fearless with Jason Whitlock on Blaze
Mhm,
TV, or we do still post the full shows on YouTube. But if you go to my website, ShemekaMichelle.com, you find me there. You can find me anywhere. All of my social media handles
mhm.
are right there. The book, eventually, my second book, when I actually get it finished.
Yeah,
So
I know.
yeah, so I'm working on that slowly but surely. You'll be able to find all of that there.
Well, that's what's up. We're gonna put the link in the description so anybody can go ahead. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you can hit that link and you can find all of her links, all her socials and everything. But follow Shemeka Michelle. Like I said, man, you're a beast in this game. There's not too many people out there, and I really appreciate everything that you do. I appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you once again, Shemeka Michelle. My name is Che. This is the No Spoon Podcast.